very much.
Thank you very much. Emmanuel Franklin, very interested to
Oh my God. Good morning. Actually, I didn't know where to start after Professor Kunat made his submissions, which I found very wonderful. Aid, trade, and development. When it comes to this, I'm a radical. I am sorry. I am going to take a stand, and my stand should be clear. I love what Dr. Rosa is doing in Oxford, the Center for New Economic Thinking. Because actually what we need in the world today, especially as somebody coming from the global south, is a new economic thinking that is radical. He made a very important point when he said that 70% of the world population are doing very well. You know, that's an upsurge in the kind of economic optimism that we have in the world today. Before it used to be, oh, poverty is killing everybody, especially in Africa. But let us reframe this optimism a little bit. Let us just reframe it just a little bit. If you intend to buy a car and you get to the car salesman and the car salesman tells you, you know, this car is a wonderful car. Three out of every 10 guys that bought this car were killed by this car. Would you buy that car? No, I'm asking just a fair question. If somebody tells you that 30% of the people that bought this car died, this car killed them, would you buy that car? But it's the same thing to say that 70% of the people that bought this car are living healthy lives. So I wanted to see how a reframing of an issue actually impacts the issue and the way we take them seriously. Aid is something I radically disagree with because I have seen what aid has wrought in Africa for the last 50 years. Europe and America have pumped trillions and trillions of dollars into the African economies. Where are these monies today? The United States and Europe knew actually well that, one example, Mobutu Sese Seko in Congo sat atop one of the richest countries in natural resources in the history of the world. And every cent in aid that landed in Congo were stolen and deposited in the French Riviera. They knew this. And aid kept coming. Where has that left Congo today? Congo is one of the most divided societies. Congo has been fighting a war that nobody knows how to stop. That is one example. You just list others. Professor Kuna made a wonderful summation. After the end of the Cold War, Europe and the West changed their philosophies about aid. Because we know, I am sorry, I'm not very comfortable talking to diplomats. You know, because a diplomat is a guy that will tell you to go to hell in a way that you look forward to the journey. But the issues are fundamental. The issues are so very clear. Coming from Africa, I come originally from Nigeria. This is one of the richest countries in human and natural resources. Nigeria, we are over 200 million people. And we are the 6th largest exporter of crude oil in the world. 1 out of every 6 Africans is a Nigerian. But come to think of it, 70% of this wonderful population are living below the poverty line. 70%. A situation which is not sustainable anyway. Nigeria has received trillions of $8 from Europe and America. Where is this money? Where are we still living in poverty? Has aid helped such African countries to escape poverty? In fact, I've not seen in the history of humanity where aid has helped any country to escape poverty. People can give me the example of the Marshall Plan that was given to Germany and most of Europe. But don't forget that Germany and most of Europe had the resources. They were already economies that were stable enough to fight wars. So they were given the Marshall Plan to reconstruct what was destroyed, and then they started off from there. And after 50 years, Germany is the leading economy in Europe. So what I'm saying, what I say everywhere, aid has created the domestic industrial complex. People coming to Africa to teach Africans how to farm, as if to say that our forefathers were dying of hunger before they came. The aid regime, I am happy that Europe and the aid community are having a rethink. The rethink is, this aid that you give through a government is not working. African governments will start playing you guys off again because China is there. China is coming with the money. And they are almost everywhere. Africa has had a relationship with most of Europe for the past 600 years. I wish that students could read the wonderful work by Chinwezu, The West and the Rest of Us. It's a brilliant document. It will give you a historical background to what is happening today. The philosophy underlying aid as given to African countries is so paternalistic and arrogant that it doesn't help Africa one bit. So if somebody tells me, he made another important point. We go to the negotiating tables. Europe protects her economies from African agricultural products and forces African economies to throw up their doors to European goods. And then you are telling me that Africa is going to escape poverty anytime soon. We won't protect our industry. Clothes that Europeans don't need, we find them in the markets in Africa, destroying our textile industries. But Africans cannot export their agricultural products into Europe because you protect your farmers. Okay, I know a city in Belgium that has only one farmer, but he has a ministry dedicated only to him. So these are issues when we talk about aid. I am sorry, Europe should have a rethink. If you want, you know the irony. Church and organizations are doing better work with the monies they're investing in the African continent than all the European and the American governments put together. I am sorry, that's what it is. Go and see how their projects are functioning, and we can take a lesson from them. When we talk about trade and development, it depends on how we define what development is. I would like to cite Amartya Sen, who said that development is, as freedom. Africans don't need aid. What we need is that Europeans and Americans and the Chinese now stop supporting the governments that make things worse for the Africans. Once you do that, it's like just Africans show the light and Africans will find their way. There was an example. Nigeria had an election in 2013 and a guy stole an election, Umaru Yar'Adua. We know he didn't win. European Union observers even wrote up their report. Go and read it to see what happened there. We wrote collected letters to the Chancellor of Germany begging, please, you guys should not recognize this election. This election was stolen. 2 days later, we heard that officials of the German government congratulated the Nigerian government for winning a great election. And much later, we discovered what happened. Africa seems to be a playground where Western companies commit atrocities that nobody would dare do in Europe. Go and see what is happening in the Nigerian Niger Delta. It's an ecological wasteland. And many European and American companies are prospecting for oil there and poisoning that ecological, beautiful place that people don't even fish anymore. The livelihood of the people that depend on that is non-existent. So when I talk about the new economic thinking, this new economic thinking must have a human face. It must be ethical. And it must have respect for the ecology. You respect the ecology here in Europe. I wish that goes into the minds of European companies doing business in Africa. They shouldn't go there and see Africa as a no man's land where anybody could do anything and get away with it because we have weak institutions, granted. But that doesn't make us less human. So these are fundamental issues that people, diplomats, who are the leaders of tomorrow, should take into cognizance whenever they come into positions of authority. Those guys that you guys are negotiating with, they are representing millions of people that have no voice. And these are the faces that we see every day, who die of hunger, who have nobody to speak for them, who want to change their government, but the structures wouldn't allow them. Because you throw aids at them. These governments don't ask their people for taxes, so they don't owe them responsibilities. They get arms and ammunition from everywhere and suppress their own people. So these are the things we want. Europe should give us a break. Keep your aid money. It's not helping. What you need to do is to stop supporting governments that are actually useless to their people. Can anybody tell me what Paul Biya is still doing in Cameroon since 1982? And he's still being supported by France. Who fed Boigny was the same in Côte d'Ivoire. Many donkey years in power, supported by the powers of the French government. When Thomas Sankara said something that Africans should have their own independence, he was killed, chaperoned by the French intelligence. So Lumumba suffered the same fate. Belgium and United States connived to kill him. So you could see when Africans say that we are doubtful of the gifts you guys are giving us, we have good reasons for that. History is a very important factor in considering where we are and how far we have come. Africa is not doing so wonderfully well. I wanted to see the statistics that show that African economies are doing wonderfully well. There is a new book written in 2013 by Martin Jevin, 4 numbers. I wish you guys could take a look at that. Because most of the numbers that World Bank and IMF use in computing African progress are based on nonsense. Thank you.
We heard a lot about aid, trade versus corrupted governments, institutions like the IMF or the WTO, self-interested bodies. Do we have, my question to the whole panel, I think we're going to start from the right maybe, do we have the tools to ensure a fair distribution of wealth?
Tough question. Is this okay? Okay.